Hey guys, I'm Evan and this is Magnolias in Sunlight, and today is day 22 of DIY or Die, my series where we make a Halloween inspired DIY project every day in the month of October. And why yes, I am still wearing this denim shirt because I am bulk filming all 6 of these Anthropologie-inspired projects. We are on day 3 of our mini series, our series within a series, where we are making things that I found and got inspired by from the Anthropologie and Terrain website. So far we've made a tic-tac-toe board for our coffee table, some candle charms which are so fun, a cat lamp that you can use for Halloween or all year round. That was a really fun thrift flip. And also a web trellis for our houseplant lovers out there. And today we're going to do 2 more. We're going to start off with this snake pillow, upcycling 2 scarves into this really cute pillow. Again, a project that I think you could leave out all year round. I have a kind of Southwest vibe going down in my basement, which is our TV room. And I think this pillow could look really cute there all year round, curled up. It's giving like body pillow shape, but much cuter than your standard body pillow because it's a snake, and that's super fun. And then we're also going to tackle this jar or some extra jars like this. There's a lot of beautiful candle containers and vases and things that I was seeing all over the internet, but especially on Anthropologie. So we're going to upcycle some thrifted jars and vases, some things out of the recycling bin, and make a really cute little Halloween apothecary setup. All right, guys, so we're going to dive in. I do want to hear down in the comments which of these 6 projects you like the most. So let's get started with the snake pillow. All right, guys, so let's start working on our snake pillow. This is a little weird for me because I usually would do something like this size on the ground and really spread out. But obviously this little guy needed some extra attention this morning and was not having that. So we are on the table. Y'all are pushed much further back than you normally are. So I'm trying to make sure I stay in frame and that the project's in frame. It's a lot. But let's dive into this first step. So first of all, you're going to need a pattern, or you can just rough cut out a snake. I visually wanted to see that the head looked serpentine enough and how it transitioned into the body. So I really just cut out the head, and then I used all of the scrap paper from that to build the rest of the body. And it just so happened that it fit on my smaller scarf perfectly. I would measure your scarf so you know how long to make it. I'm actually kind of excited because I just looked up the dimensions on the Anthro one, and it says that it's 12 by 16. And so I'm thinking that it's much smaller than the picture makes it look, because when I saw it, I was thinking it was like body pillow size, but 16 inches is here. So it's got to be a much smaller pillow, or the dimensions on the website are not correct. But we're making one that is a little over a yard long. We're almost at 4 feet. So that's really fun. I wanted to use the full length of my scarf. So that brings us to our scarves. For your fabric, I picked up 2 scarves from Goodwill. But because this is all we're cutting out, you really easily could do this with a long offcut of some fabric that you already have. Or I was thinking, because the quilting craze is still alive and well out there, you could put a bunch of scrap fabric pieces together, make a long strip, and then cut out your snake and have like a really cool patchwork quilt snake pillow. I think that would be so stunning, and if anyone does it, I want to see it. But for now, for this project, we're using these scarves. So again, when I saw this shape online, I was like, that's a perfect scarf upcycle project because you don't need that much fabric. You don't need a full yard of fabric in width. And in fact, I'm going to cut here on both of my scarves and then hem them and still have these scarves to use because I really love this pattern. And the more I look at it, the more I love it. So we're just gonna have a little bit of a more like a narrower scarf. And then the bottom fabric is just this plain blue. It's like a fleecy wool almost. And I don't know what it technically is because there's no tags on it, but that's what it feels like. It feels kind of like a faux wool. And it just, the contrast here I really like. And I also really like that this pattern on the top, it's like a woven, it's almost like a Mexican blanket weave, only smaller. And this print here just reminds me of like python skin or some kind of snake print. So it's definitely, I think, meant to be more like of a leopard or a jaguar print kind of a thing, but it's giving snake as well. And the Anthro one is beaded on one side and then solid on the other. I didn't want to bead this much. If I knew it was only 12 by 16, I might have considered it. But to bead 4 feet of fabric in my crunch time with all the other projects I have going on, it's just not realistic right now. So I thought a print on one side, a really cool print on one side, and a solid on the other would be a good compromise. So what we're gonna do is cut this out. We're going to pin this down or weigh this down, and then I'm just gonna cut it out, giving myself some seam allowance, probably about a ½ inch just in case. And then I will set my scarves aside because I'm gonna, like I said, hem those up as well. I do have fringe on the end of both of these scarves, so I have that tossed off of my workspace so I don't accidentally cut the fringe when I don't want to cut the fringe. I'm making sure that it's all draped away. All right, so once you cut it out, if your fabrics have a specific side that you want showing, you're gonna put the right sides together and then we'll start sewing. Mine are basically exactly the same on either side. So there's really not much difference. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pin it together or clip it together, and then we'll break out the sewing machine. We also need to cut out a tongue, so we'll work on that. And the door just blew open, so you guys can probably hear the wind. So I will set everything else up and we will start cutting. Okay, so we have our snake cut out, and I'm just gonna go in with my clips because they're my new like favorite sewing tool thing that you've seen. And this fabric under here, it's pulling a little weird, so I'm a little nervous about how it's gonna sew. Hopefully that's not foreshadowing, but I'm gonna go ahead and clip the nose. And I'm thinking this is the section that I'm gonna leave open to stuff my snake with. I'm gonna close up the tail because I want that to be really secure down there. Obviously it's going to a pretty narrow point. So I think this is a good spot, and then we can just hand sew that when we are done stuffing the pillow. And I do also, I feel a little bit like a fraud because I've talked a lot about like not having pillows that are specific for holidays and how like not wasteful, but like cumbersome that can be. And then here I am making a pillow that is like literally for the holidays. But I have a Southwest style basement. I think I mentioned this in the intro, but I filmed a lot of intros all at once. So maybe I did, maybe I didn't. And this is gonna live down there full time because I think it's a cool concept and the colors are not like screaming holiday. So I'm making this pillow for DIY or die, but this and the mirror, the celestial mirror, are finding permanent homes in my house that aren't just for Halloween. And so I think that's really cool that I made something with the holiday, like was the inspiration. But then we have since utilized them in other ways. Okay, so our snake is clipped in place. Now we need our scrap fabric, and I'm going with this because it matches. We're gonna make the eyes and the tongue out of this, and I need my sewing scissors. So we just need a little rectangle of this fabric to make our tongue, and I'm going to fork it, cut out a triangle, make sure those are even. And then I'm going to narrow it out a little bit because that's kind of a lot. And a lot of this is just, obviously I'm free cutting. This is up for creative license. I know it looks like it's easy to think that you need a pattern for everything, but like this is something that you can cut out. I promise you, even if you don't believe you have any like creative ability, I swear you can make this project without a sewing pattern. I have found a few free printable patterns. I will link them down below in case you really just are like, I can't do that. But I promise you, you can. So I'm going to pin that right there. And then we're gonna sew all the way around our snake, except for this right here. So I thought I had finished sewing my snake and I was really excited. But in my excitement to just get this project going, I fully messed up our tongue. So I have cut out all the footage where I talk about this other than cutting it out. You probably noticed a jump. I'll put some text on it that I screwed up and I have to fix it. So we just seam ripped our snake's face a little bit and we need to put this tongue inside the fabric. When you're sewing, all you want to see is like the edge that you're going to sew. It needs to be inside. I had it on the outside, facing inwards, and I don't know. Anyway, sandwich it between the right sides of your fabric and then sew it in place. And then when you flip it inside out, it will be on the right side. So I need to re-sew the nose shut, which is not that big of a deal. I explained this step really well in the tarot card pillow video. So if you want to watch how you should sew on trim or things that like a tongue that would hang outwards, watch that video because I know how to do it. Obviously I did it 3 times in that video. And then in this video, I just messed up. So I'm going to sew this shut and then we'll start flipping our snake right side out, inside out. Right side out. Wow, the brain fog today, guys. Okay, that was a super quick fix, no big deal. The only thing I did want to mention that on points where I felt like there was going to be more pressure, so around the nose, and then definitely on the tail, just this point, I went through and I backstitched a decent amount, so like maybe, I don't know, like an inch on each side just to really secure this because this fabric is fairly thin. I mean, we're talking about like scarf fabric, right? So we're not sewing something heavy duty like a velvet. At least I'm not. You could. A velvet one of these would be really, really cool. But any of those, like just where there's a lot less fabric, and I'm actually going to trim this up because that's going to be messy in the pointed part of our tail. So you can trim your excess fabric around there, and then if you notice any bunching around like the top of the head or the bottom of the neck, you can cut some darts and that will help the fabric fold better when it's getting stuffed. So you can just cut some triangles in here and it will help alleviate some of that puckering and wrinkling. Same thing in sewing if you're doing like a collar, adding these little triangle cuts, and those are some rough triangle cuts, but they will do the job. This fabric under here is fraying pretty bad, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to hold once we flip it and stop playing with it. So our hole 2, there it is. I was like, I know I left a space. We're going to flip her right side out. Do the face bit first, grab the nose and pull that through. And there, see, figured it out. Just needed a second. And I noticed the Anthro one, like the nose portion of their snake had like a flat part, and I kind of like that, so I replicated that on my pattern. And then we just keep going and pulling her through. So I will do this and come back to you when we're ready to start stuffing our snake. So I'm going to take another rectangle of the same felt that we used for the tongue, and this felt is from the thrift store. these beads that we're going to use are also from the thrift store. So other than the rhinestones and the stuffing and the, actually, no, the threads from the thrift store too, everything to make this snake is thrifted and upcycled. So I just think that is, I don't know, I think that's fun. I love being able to do that. So here's our snake head. And I want kind of, because we're not going to beat it, I think going kind of like dramatic with the eye is going to be cool. So maybe we go, by dramatic, I mean kind of larger, like that. I think that's a good size. And then I'm going to round this one up a little bit. That got messed up as I was cutting it. Okay, so that will go on the other side. So now we can play with these. Let's pick a few of these up. We're going to outline it with the gold beads, kind of like the one on the Anthro site. And then this is kind of the one I'm leaning towards. See, I think that's cool. And then if we have the gold all the way around. I'm going to sew this down. I have to kind of put my hand up through that hole. Could I have sewed these on before we sewed everything together? Yep, could have done that, but I didn't because this to me seemed like a finishing, like a final touches. You do the final touches last, but it's fine. I'm just going to sew this on with some quick little stitches. No big deal. Alrighty, so we have our eyes sewed on. Now we have our pillow fluff, and for our snails that we made the other day, we stuffed them really full because I wanted them to be kind of sturdy. But for this one, I want to find that like mid-level stuffing because I want it to be shaped well, but I also want it to be cuddly, and I want to be able to tie it kind of into a knot like they did in their styling photos. And I'm afraid if we stuff it too, like as much as we did with the snails, it's just gonna look like a pool noodle. So I'm gonna try and find at least that happy medium. And I have a whole bag of this stuff down on the floor. It's not just this, because obviously that won't be enough. You'll need a decent amount of stuffing to fill up this project. This is some that I have had in my sewing kit for so long, and I haven't made pillows in literally years. So I'm excited to finally find a reason to use up this giant bag of fluff. All right, so now we're just going to thread some dark green thread. That's kind of what I've just been using on this whole project, and it seems to be blending fairly well. We're going to close up our stuffing hole, and then we can tie up our little snake guy and throw her on the couch. It'll be cute. I'm so excited. The face turned out cute. I think that's really cool. And then like you can have both sides showing. You can have the really like patterned side out, or if you want to tone it down. I love a two-sided decor project. I'm going to start my stitch back here and then close all the way up just to make sure that I'm fixing this issue. I don't really obviously want that showing, nor do I want any of this to pull. So I'm gonna right there create a nice little seam, and I'm gonna whip stitch this with fairly small stitches because again, I don't really want it to be seen. You guys, I'm so happy. It's so cute. I just tied it in a little pretzel knot, and it's stinking adorable, and its little head pokes up. I'm wondering if I should add like a bell to the tail because, you know, Texas girl and her rattlesnakes. But this is just the perfect addition to the couch. And look at that print. That is so snake print. The beautiful teal blue, navy blue. It's got a lot of green in it that's not showing up on camera. But man, how precious. Okay, so for our vase project, while we only have one inspo photo, I wanted to kind of make a little apothecary set almost. So we have this white one that was $2.92 from the thrift store. We have this black and gold speckled one with like the gold rim and the white inside. I think it's very cute. This one was a little pricier at $3.99. And then we have this like beautiful shaped, it's almost like a tulip vase. And it was 99 cents, but it's kind of got this pink purple hue to it. Oop. And then this one I just recently picked up the other day. It was 99 cents, but the color of the day. And I feel like this like tall, narrow one kind of gives us a little shape variation. And then we're just gonna play. Again, I've done this a couple times in my videos where I just have a bunch of supplies and I pair them together. So I'm gonna show you the little knickknacks we have to play with. We have the gold snakes. These are just from the floral section at Michael's. We have another white spider. We used one of these in our taper candle video, which I think was 2 days ago. And then I have, this is a bag of scorpions. So we could do, whoa, strobe light. This is just a bunch of little scorpions that we could attach to something. We have all these little spiders that I bought a bulk bag of years ago and have just been attaching to things for Halloween. But it would be kind of cool to do like, use the spiders to make like a pattern. Like, I don't know, like a spider herringbone almost. And then paint them. Or even do the black and white and just do like the spiders. So we might do that on the white one and use a bunch of those. And then in addition, I have a little like box, like a shoe box that has all of like the leftover bits in for Halloween. So I have a bat that I made out of some of that foam clay a while back, and that's really cute. I have these little owl pieces that came from a scrapbooking kit a few years ago that was also from Michael's. We have a little ladybug. I like the idea of these being, because they're apothecary, like using the bugs and stuff and making them kind of organic in that sense. I have a tiny pumpkin. I thought if I had enough of these I could do handles, but I think I only have one. We have a smaller bat, which we could do a bat on the bat and make it really textured and layered. We have another little wood piece that just says Hocus Pocus, and that's another spider. And then in addition, we have all of our resin pieces. So right now I have one snake and 2 skulls. These are all left over from our candle pins. These are some of the extra ones that I made as testers. And I thought on this one, if I have some more skulls, we could do those sporadically placed around here and kind of do like the icon glasses that Anthropologie does, but in a vase. And I think that could be really cute. So I think that's the plan for this one. You're just gonna have to watch me play. I do need to go get all the price tags off of these. So I'm gonna go clean these up really quickly and then we'll come back and start attaching. Okay, so for this one, we've decided to do these snake handles, which I still think is super cool. How did I have it? Like that. And turn it into an urn. So our high points are here and here. So we're gonna hit that with a little bit of glue and then attach it. And then I'm gonna see what it looks like, because obviously I don't want to see a bunch of glue on these. But I don't know how else, like there's no other good way to really throw that on there. And then I was thinking about cutting a little pendant, surrounding it with some trim, and then putting the snake in the middle and putting that there. So I'm working on this one, and I tried one combination of this little cameo thing that I'm making, and I didn't love it. I feel like it's kind of big, but the reality is that's how big the snake is that I want to go on it. And so I think I'm gonna outline it with this gold chain. I think that's the move. So I'm gonna center this snake that right there in the middle. And then we can do a bead of glue around and line this chain up all the way around the edge. And I think that's going to be a cool way to finish it off without using like trim. I think the chain is a little more unique and unexpected. And then this one is finished. That was so easy and so quick, but like really cool impact. I think this is cool. So now we can just put a nice bead of glue around the back. I'm going to scoot that inwards so it doesn't bleed out the edges. And then center that on. And now we have a cool little vase that we could put like, this would be really cool. I don't have any, but like black roses could be fun. So because I got out my kit of like all my chain and jewelry making stuff, I thought it would be cool to kind of do like this web here. It's a little translucent and a little chippy and kind of fun. And then we'll put the spider on top of it. So I needed to make kind of a necklace more or less to hold this pendant onto this chart or onto this vase. All right, so that's on there. And now we're just gonna hit this guy with some hot glue. Put that center there and hold it in place. Yeah, for a second it didn't feel like it was making contact, but it is. I've got the rest of these little pieces and my gold paint that I used in my candle video, and I'm just going to dab these up. Some of them had a little bit of paint already, but I need to finish them. So I'm gonna hit that with some paint. I had a pretty big spill the other day on my worktop. Luckily it was on my worktop and not anywhere else. But now I feel like I'm kind of running low on my gold paint. I'm gonna have to go get a new bottle because I spilled a lot of it onto my cork worktop. Okay, so we've got our little skulls painted, and I have an extra snake. I don't know what I'll do with that, but I had one, so I figured I would go ahead and paint. I love the icon drinking glasses that they do at Anthropologie, and I thought we could make like this one like an icon little vase maybe, by just kind of sporadically placing these skulls all over it. And I think that's a nice little nod to our Anthropologie-inspired project. And I also thought about leaving these clear, but I think I like them gold because it just ties all of our gold pieces together. And when I put these on a little brass tray or something, like it will make sense having all the gold elements. Okay, and then I have this one, so maybe I'll put it there just because we've got it, so we might as well use it.